when you think about it, you have Fortune 500 companies we work with, you have the SMEs, sort of mid-market companies, and then you have the small and medium businesses. These are three completely different demographics that we need to be able to communicate to. And that's something, if we're able to crack that, then we're gonna be in a good spot. Hey, if we can have your customers be worth more to you, reduce your churn, increase LTV, or kind of any one of those numbers, that's probably going to result in a lot of money for you. Second, if we can get some time back for you because you're not, spending your time in operations, you're spending on growing the business, going to conferences, whatever, that's going to increase in your business growing faster. And then the third thing is like, hey, if we can reduce how many developers or how many project managers you need per unit of client, that also increases your margins. So usually that's like the three sort of, lenses of how we approach operations. Our main goal is, we have internal developers as well, but we're primarily a consulting company. Some companies like yours don't have an internal development team, so they kind of want us to build it for them. But in this case, like we did this for Luca, we just did consulting, right? So we just went in, analyzed everything, and found the opportunities. In his case, we found a really big one on their sort of like onboarding side, going through KYC, KYB. I'm sure Luca talked to you about it. So that was like, he originally came like, hey, I'm sure we could like automate some emails and stuff like that, sort of have one idea, and then we kind of go into completely other idea, like, hey, screw the automation on the emails, you can do some way more impressive stuff on the other end. So basically that's what we do. We do kind of full set of discovery, and then once we do the discovery, we figure out where the biggest opportunity is. And sometimes the solution for it is process, sometimes the solution for it is more tech development, automation, and sometimes it's like, hey, you just need to hire this person and you'll be good for 6 months. And that's where we basically stop. All right, so update on the sales system. The first channel we decided to start to build is our LinkedIn outbound system. So the current status that we have, it has been running for a couple of weeks, but here's basically how we've set up. So number one thing we do is we have 2 profiles that we're doing all of our outreach from. And these 2 profiles are basically automatically connecting to a lead list of our ICP, right? And then out of those who actually connect with us, right? The connections we get, we then send them a manual DM, right? And once we send them a manual DM, we make this one super personalized, right? So we're not just spraying and praying and just automating the first messages. This is where we can automate, right? So this segment is sort of what we try to automate, because like we send out black connection requests and just track the connection rate to make sure it's good enough. But here we actually spend some time on each manual DM, because we then tend to see the reply rates being much higher. And basically what we do from then is every single time we get a connection, we shoot that connection into our CRM. And at the moment we're using a tool called Adio, which is a great tool. Because it allows for a lot of integrations and has some of the like auto enrichments and stuff like that. So basically, as soon as we get a connection request, a webhook sends over all of that information into a CRM, sends a notification for us to outreach to them, and then we send them a manual DM. And then depending on if we get a reply or we don't get a reply, we basically follow up anywhere between 8 and 10 times throughout the cycle. And this is across like 30 days maybe that we do the follow-ups, right? So I think this strategy has been pretty well tested. So now we're just trying to optimize to figure out, all right, what is the sort of ICP lead list targeting that we're doing? What are the formats of the manual DMs that we're gonna be doing? So we're testing out Loom videos, so we're testing out video, and then we're also testing out just like a regular normal DM.
Hello, I'm working on the feature that will recommend a group for posting, and this system is recommending the best groups based on some system requirements for our clients to post within a day. So each day they will get the new set of groups. This system is using AI tweaks that can recommend the best use case for today.
Okay, and what was their problem that you are solving?
Well, their main problem was to determine what kind of groups, based on their system, their requirements, are available for today posting. So they had this big problem for the recommendation. This system is helping them to determine what kind of group to pick for the post that are creating, and that's overall.
A couple of things we need to solve for. So we have 3 buckets of clients. We have smaller, sort of like digital agencies, companies 11 to 25 employees, or like 5 to 25 employees. So smaller, usually digital agencies. They're, I think, very interested in the day-to-day tactical operations content. You have the second bucket, which is the big small companies, which is like companies 50 employees to 200 employees, right? So, and these are usually like more traditional business models, manufacturing, construction, etc., right? So like older demographic, C-suite of people 50 and above. I think we have to figure out, we still don't have an idea like what is the right content for them. And then you have the third bucket, which is like the enterprise clients that we have, which is like department managers and like VPs of specific divisions, which is, again, a completely different demographic that we have to figure out what to do, right? So those are those two sort of three content buckets. And I always want to make sure that when we're doing our marketing strategy and content strategy, we're feeding all of these 3 demographics like value and actually kind of resonating with them. So that's something we need to figure out how to do. Because the interesting thing is like the larger companies. That's why I think like doing these episodes and doing podcasts and stuff like that is super helpful for larger companies. Is a company like we have a company doing 30 million a year in whatever industry, 40 million a year in whatever industry. They cannot afford to go to Upwork or go to a freelancer to risk their entire operations being reliant on this one person and hoping their entire $30 million business will be solved by having this one person, because that person can get sick, that person can go on vacation, disappear, get another client. And then you have the different end of the spectrum where you have like the McKinseys and the Accentures and the sort of legacy consulting and IT firms, where they're also going to charge them, $250,000 just to talk to them for a week, right? So that's also on the other end of the spectrum. And I think there's a huge gap in between where we're able to fill that, where we're still approachable to these, bigger, smaller companies, but you get the stability of having, a 15-person team, a service desk, business analysts with engineering degrees, etc. So I think that's something that I feel like we need to lean into a bit more in our communication. Is, hey, we're a boutique company, but you get all the stability of that versus, getting a freelancer on Upwork or finding someone random on Twitter who's showing an 8N templates. Pretty solid week over the last week. Some new deals in the pipeline, some new things coming along. We got a verbal confirmation, or basically offer accepted, from the business analyst pick that we made. We're just now sorting through technicalities on the start dates and stuff like that. So we're going to be having a new business analyst called Mauro joining us, and he has the same haircut as Steven and Nico. So that contributed to the decision a lot. Which is cool. Also, FYI, we're going to be doing quarterly reviews either next week or the week after. So basically by the end of July, we're going to be doing quarterly reviews. So we're going to be reaching out to schedule those in. So have that in mind. And that's pretty much it. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the week. And talk to you guys soon.
Peace. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, guys.